You're listening to Short Inspirations from Ralph. Why is there so much pain and suffering in the world? Part 2. Or, how could God allow this? The response to these questions is absolutely vital. How do you respond to them? How do we find some sort of an answer? I recently saw a university debate between a Christian professor and a guy who was an atheist. This man used to be an ordained minister and pastor and a preacher of the gospel, but he had turned away from that and had come to believe that there was no God. He said that all you need to do is go into a children's hospital and see the suffering there to believe there was no God. I thought this was really sad, and I found myself saying, no. Don't turn away from God, turn to God, the creator of us all, because in him lies the absolute truth and answer to what we're seeking. And I say this for a number of reasons. Firstly, it takes a lot more faith to believe there is no God than to believe there is a creator. It means to believe that there is no one out there, despite the overwhelming evidence of creation. It means that we are alone. And as Richard Dawkins put it, we are left dancing to the music of our DNA. The survival of the fittest only, where there is no room for truth. But the real clincher for me is the removal of this magnificent thing called hope, and the drifting away to the dark dungeons of hopelessness. And if there is any hope at all, it is a very shallow-based one that pertains to materialism and the things that only this life might provide. And when you look at this belief that there is no God, atheism, you must also abolish the categories of good and evil, because everyone is left to make up their own minds as to what is good and what is evil, and that is incredibly shaky ground to build a life on or to build a belief system on. And so what I'm saying is atheism doesn't remove pain and suffering. It has no answers. And so for anyone, including atheists, to admit that evil exists is also to acknowledge that there is a moral standard that exists. And so where did evil come from? And philosophers have categorized two kinds of evil. There is moral evil, man's own inhumanity to man, based on hate, greed, or overindulgence. Then there is natural evil, evils brought on by natural causes in the world, such as floods, earthquakes, or tornadoes, and different sorts of diseases, accidents, and injuries. So in addressing the problem of evil, or the cause of it, let's look at the biblical viewpoint. First of all, God created the universe without evil and suffering. Secondly, he created perfect human beings. Thirdly, God created humans with a complete ability to freely choose between staying in harmony with God or rejecting him. Fourthly, humankind freely chose to turn away from God. And fifthly, evil and suffering entered the world as a result of that separation from God. Norman Geisler describes this reasoning like this: we have a real choice about what we do. God made us that way so we'd be like him and could love freely. In brackets, forced love is not love at all, is it? Close of brackets. But in making us that way, he also allowed for the possibility of evil. To be free, we had to have not only the opportunity to choose good, but also the ability to choose evil. That was the risk God knowingly took. That doesn't make God responsible for evil. He created the fact of freedom, and we perform the acts of freedom. And He made evil possible, men made evil actual. Have a listen to my recent podcasts on You Are Free To, which describes this incredible gift of the freedom of choice. And so God made man like that, and He respects man's decisions. He will not cross over them. Otherwise we would not be human, we would be robots. And as Cliff Nechte states in his book, an immeasurable amount of evil has followed in the wake of human rebellion against God. The vast majority of this carnage is a direct result of human choice. Before we finish this episode, I want you to consider this. More than an action, sin is a direction. I'll say that again. More than an action, sin is a direction. God bless you.